Hello, hello. Welcome to Tuesday Tapping. I hope that you all have had a wonderful week. I'm excited to be here with you. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're back again, then welcome back. And thank you so much for choosing to come back. Um, I already see some highs. Hi, Sneha. Hi, RC. Thank you so much for that. I do what I can. If you would let me know if you can hear me, just so that I'm aware everything's working well. Hi, Moran. Um, thank you very much. You guys, thank you for starting off with thank yous. It's heartwarming. I've had a let's just say an interesting week. So that feels especially beautiful to receive today. If you are new to our group, let me just tell you real fast what we do. This is different than most tapping circles that you can join, where you can put in the chat what it is that is going on with you right now, and we tap on it together. So every single week it is different. I have the tap markings on me. If you're not that familiar with tapping, you can just follow along with me. Don't worry, it's a very simple, easy process. You'll have it down by the time we're through today. But I don't explain how tapping works in the tapping circle. This is all about action here. So if you're wanting to understand more about EFT, then the other videos on this channel on EFT Universe are going to help you with that. There are hundreds. I have my own playlist. The channel actually belongs to Dr. Dawson Church. He's been an expert in this field for a very long time, and he has a lot of wonderful videos that give very thorough explanations as well. So that's where you'll get more of an understanding on the science behind it, the theory behind it, and this is where you're going to actually experience it. So, and if you want to contribute, if you would like to tap specifically on something, but you don't want to say it in front of everyone, then you can always email me. My email is amanda@eftuniverse.com. I need it about 24 hours ahead of time just to make sure that I see it, communicate with you a little bit if I need to. If it's too short of time, then I won't address it in that Tuesday, but then like maybe the following week. So just so you're aware. Okay. Hello, hello. Oh, thank you, Afua, for letting me know that you can hear me. Love you back. I'm so happy to see you too. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Roma. Hi, Kate. Hi, Stuart. Oh, it's good to have all of you here. Okay, so let's jump into centering and then tapping. So just get your body comfortable. I myself, I'm a little scattered right now. I've been doing a lot of editing. We're going to have some other wonderful products out for you guys soon at EFT Universe. So, and I'm sure I'll get the green light to let you know when that happens. But currently, it's a whole lot of nose in the computer. So, get your body in a comfortable place. Stretch a little bit. Wiggle if you need to. And let's take a breath. When you breathe out, just let your body collapse down. Have bad posture, even for just a few seconds. Just let all of those muscles relax and reset. Let's do another breath. And on this breath in, restack your spine. Get yourself sitting up, but in a really nice, comfortable way. All that tension released from your muscles. And let's set our intention for this session. So I'm going to place my hands over my heart. You're welcome to join me in that if you'd like. And you can close your eyes for this and just imagine all of us together connecting space through our hearts, through our intentions. Where even though we're all over the world in doing this together, that we're still connected in purpose and in heart, and that we're here to support each other, and we're here to receive support. And being open to both is important. And that as we agree to be open to love and support from each other and for ourselves, think of what it is that you're here for today that you're hoping to receive from this tapping circle. And set the intention that you receive that today. Even if we tap specifically on it, whether you write anything in the chat or not, that you get to receive what it is that you came here for. Okay, let's take one more breath. And let that out. And open your eyes. Hi. Okay. I have a and it's interesting because it's two and they're kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. But two very good points. And one I'm going to touch on here, and we'll kind of use it as a closing at the end. But it was just a mention of, even after our big traumas are gone, we still continue to heal, over little things, over new things that happen. And I love that that was brought up because it's so true. I have people ask me, well, when do you think I can stop tapping? When do you think I can be done? I'll be healed. I'll be complete. And I mean, every day is new, right? We're constantly evolving. We're constantly experiencing and interacting. So it's not a negative viewpoint that you're never done, but it's that you're always growing. And it's more a viewpoint of you're always supported. This isn't just a fix me solution. This is a form of communication to the larger part of your function and your brain and your body. So having a relationship, with yourself this way, just like you do with like your inner child or different aspects of your personality, your different emotions. This EFT is a way to do that with your brain. So even after, you succeed and wow, I'm really past all of this. I don't feel any of that big stuff that used to weigh me down. But there are still things here. There's still little rocks tripping me up. Yeah. Because that's a part of life. And there's nothing wrong with you for that. That's a beautiful point to reach, and understanding that continued support it just enlivens that experience that you get to continue to have is important, so that you don't categorize that or miscategorize that as some sort of failure or misstep. That really is how life is supposed to be. So and like I said, we'll use that as kind of a closing tap at the end. And the other point that was brought up is it's a pretty big, broad category. And we'll tap a little on it, but I want to use it more of it as an invitation because it's something that people really hesitate to bring up for tapping because it's such a big thing. And it was childhood abuse. Now, when you hear the word abuse or trauma, most people think of the worst, right? The worst thing that could possibly be attached to. And that's legitimate, absolutely. For a lot of people, that is their experience. More so than what's even, captured in statistics, because there are people who just don't talk about it. They don't admit it, or they don't remember it, because there is a thing that happens with the brain where it's called a trauma capsule, where in order to continue to survive, the brain kind of gives you a little bit of amnesia over certain events in time. So there are people who say, I don't remember anything before 13 years old, and that can be a sign, of that trauma capsule. But the triggers for trauma in the brain can be much, much smaller, and something that for someone else, they would go, really? That was traumatic for you? But if you reach a point of overwhelm to where you feel like you're isolated and alone, you are helpless to do anything about the situation, you feel like you're threatened for your life, or that you're violated by an expectation you had of someone or something in the circumstance. And it could be as simple as you've been taking piano lessons, you're now at your concert, your first concert, and you go and you're on stage by yourself and the lights are up and you see the crowd and you're nervous and you put your hands on the keys and you forget everything. And you can't even do anything. And you're so deeply embarrassed and you're so angry at yourself. How could you forget this? You've been practicing for 8 months and you violated your own expectation, right? Of just being able to play the piano. And there are other things too. You could feel isolated and alone from that. You could feel helpless in there. You only have to hit one of those 4 triggers for your brain to kick into trauma mode. So when we have experiences like that as a child that aren't resolved, they tend to create big, huge barriers in adulthood. It's not safe to be seen. I'm all alone and I have to do everything on my own, making it really difficult for you to accept any outside help, making it really difficult for you to truly reach your goals, even though you want it so bad. Uh, pardon me. So a lot of those do come from childhood circumstances. So if you know of something, and you want to tap on it, bring it up, in here. And if you're afraid it's going to be too triggering for someone else, you can always email me first and we can be vague about it, when we tap about it. But it's pretty relatable and it's pretty common. So if you've worried about that and bringing it up to tap on it here, don't, because you're not alone. And it'll probably benefit a lot of others. So with all of that, let's start tapping. And I'm going to, again, use pretty general terms for this. We're going to start with just childhood. And if you've got a specific person or circumstance that you want to plug into that, do, and use any words that fit better for you than what I choose. Make it your own. Okay. Even though my childhood was overwhelming for me, I deeply and completely accept myself. Sorry, I see that I'm wiggling a little bit. Let's see if I can change that. Let's see if that's better. Even though I experienced things in my childhood that still affect me today, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though, as I think about my childhood, I realize there are things there that I need to deal with and I haven't yet, I deeply and completely accept myself. My childhood. Negative things from my childhood. Sad things from my childhood. Things that went a way that they shouldn't have from my childhood. Even though things happened in my childhood, I'm okay now. I'm not okay now. I'm a mess. Well, I'm working on it. And everyone has things from their childhood. I'm not unique in that. There are some people who've had so much worse in their childhood than mine. Even though my experiences may not be the biggest or the most unique, my feelings are still valid. My experience is still valid. My healing is still valid. But it's too late. Those events are past. It happened. That's the end of it. That's the end of it for who? Because I still feel it. Feelings from my childhood. Feelings still alive from what happened in my childhood. Well, the conscious brain understands that it was a long time ago, that it's linear. But doesn't the subconscious brain consider everything all at once? Well, if that's true, then that means I can still fix it. If that's true, then that means my empowerment now is my empowerment for then. That my wisdom now can be my wisdom for then. All of the things that I've gained and learned and overcome, I really can go and apply and give to my younger self. Because it all lives at the same time in my subconscious brain. And it's my brain. So if I want to go and adjust it, I can. I have the power and ability to heal even from my childhood. And I give myself permission. I give myself permission to heal from my childhood. Maybe I felt like at the time I needed that from someone else. It's normal for a child to feel. But now I realize I can give that to myself. And I give myself permission to go and do that. And maybe it'll be really quick and easy. Or maybe it will take time and be tricky and complicated. But however it looks, I can make progress bit by bit. And I can show up for that younger person who needed someone. Healing my childhood. Giving myself permission. Allowing myself, my skills, my ability, and the support that I have found. I can do this. And I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay. All right. I have you guys propped up because I wanted to give you a better angle for tapping, but that's proving to be bouncy, and I don't want you to feel seasick watching me tap. All right. I am going to go over to the chat. Hello, everyone. here at the beginning. 4. Yes, The Body Keeps the Score is a good book suggested by Dr. Scott Sanders. It is intense though, so I will warn you if you're triggered by reading about other people's trauma, it's very graphic. Okay, I see in here from Stuart. I need help letting go of past regrets, times when I didn't try. Stuart, thank you for bringing that up. Man, me too. Oh, because I'll tell you what, I tend to have a lot of fear, and I'm really good at thinking of things to validate my fear in the moment. And then when I finally can get myself to a point of action, and I realize, wow, all of that fear was so unnecessary. And then I have that regret and judgment on myself, for all of the creativity that I had ahead of time. So that's a beautiful thing to tap on. Thank you for that. So, um, again, this is on letting go of past regrets, of times of not trying for something. So, if you don't relate directly to that, maybe not trying hard enough, maybe you gave up and then you went back and thought, man, I gave up too early. Um, or any regret of any kind, if this specific doesn't fit for you, it can be relatable to a relationship, to an academia pursuit, to a job, to a passion, anything of that sort. So take a moment and just think of how this releasing a sense of regret for past things that you didn't follow through on could fit for you. And let's begin tapping. Even though I'm struggling to release this regret I have against myself, I choose right now to deeply and completely accept myself anyway. Even though right now I have a lot of regret for things I didn't do, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Even though right now I feel a lot of regret for things that I didn't do, that I could have, but I didn't. I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. I accept the parts of me that wanted this. I accept the parts of me that were too afraid. I accept the parts of me that I considered to be too weak. I accept the part of me that was pessimistic. I accept the part of me that determined it wasn't worth it. I acknowledge that there are things in my life that now I see I could have done, and I didn't. And even though knowing this now causes me some pain from it, I still choose to deeply and completely accept myself. What I want to say is that if I had gone and done it, I would accept myself. I'm not sure I can let this go. It could have made such a big difference in my life. Maybe I would be happy right now if I had just done it, if I had just followed through. Maybe I would have what I want, but I don't. I don't, and it's my fault. It's all my fault because I didn't follow through. I know this feels really heavy and negative right now. We're getting through all of those things that we think, even if we don't ever say them. We want to light those up and challenge them, right? That's why we always tap while we say it, because we're challenging it. In fact, I'm pretty sure that if I had done all the things in my life that I chose out of, that I now regret not doing, I would be the happiest person alive. I would be the most successful person alive. I would be celebrated everywhere I went. People would just start clapping because I would be known as the person with no regrets. The person with no regrets. I want to be the person with no regrets. Is that even a thing? People say that all the time. Oh, no regrets. It's the saying. But isn't that people just being in denial? How can a person have no regrets? There are always things that you didn't do. There are always mistakes that you made that you could have done better. I'm just not sure I believe it's possible to have no regrets. And even if I end up going to my grave with this belief, I deeply and completely accept myself. Because I acknowledge and accept that, yeah, could have. I see that now. Hindsight. But is this judgment that I'm holding against myself right now keeping me from other things that I'll regret 10 years from now? In 10 years from now, will I be saying, oh man, if I just hadn't held that against myself for so long, I could have done so much more? How do I avoid regret? Avoiding regret. Releasing regret. Not having any regrets. Well, what is a regret? What's my definition of it? Not something that I do regret, but what does it actually mean to me? Is it a judgment that I could have done better, that I should have done something different? Even something that I knew, and I still made a choice that was different? Maybe there are a lot of definitions that I could use for regret. But it all sounds like things that are focused upon the past. Focusing on my past. What benefit do I get from focusing on my past? And what if it's not a benefit initially, but maybe secondarily it is? Because focusing on my regrets doesn't feel good. But maybe the benefit I'm getting from it is that I am confirming that I shouldn't trust myself. Maybe I'm confirming that I don't know how to make decisions. Maybe I'm confirming that it's not safe to try. Maybe I'm confirming that no matter what I do, there's going to be a negative outcome. What is it about me that these regrets tell me? What is my message from these regrets? Because I bet it's a limiting belief. I bet it's something that if I let that go, I bet I could feel some peace. And maybe I'll continue to make mistakes. And maybe my insight won't get any better for the whole rest of my life. And I'll continue to have things that I could look back on and wish differently for. But maybe if I release this limiting belief that I hold against myself, maybe I won't define it as a regret. Maybe it could feel different. Feeling different. Feeling different about my regrets. Messages from my regrets. Limiting beliefs. Releasing. Releasing myself from these beliefs. And whether this release makes a really big difference in my life, or it makes no difference at all, except that I feel better about myself, I deeply and completely accept it. I agree to be open and curious about what these limiting beliefs are that are coded in these regrets. I choose to trust that I can feel better about it. And as I discover how to feel better about it, I choose to deeply and completely accept myself along this journey. Okay, let's breathe that in. Nice. Thank you. Okay, I'm going back to the chat. Okay, self-compassion and patience. Kate's asking a question here. When she first learned EFT, they said, I deeply and completely love and accept myself as that non standard. It depends on who you ask. Um, it was taken out of clinical EFT, which is what Dr. Dawson Church teaches, because of the complicated emotions that come with love. There are a lot of people who don't feel self love, or when they say the word love, they start getting distracted by, well, what exactly do I mean by that? Do I mean complete love? Do I mean, what standard? And it got in the way. Is what was discovered. So saying it, if that feels good to you, a lot of times I say it towards the end of a tap, when my heart feels open and full and I feel free. I love to throw love in there. I tend to not do that at the beginning of a tap and cautiously in a group setting like this, just because it can kind of trip some people up. And I just don't want anybody to spiral from that being in there. So there's nothing wrong with it at all and having it in there. But that's why you'll come across people who leave it out. So. Okay, so self compassion and patience. I'm guessing that's self patience as well that Carrie is saying. Um, okay, so self compassion and self patience. Um, what is compassion? When people often express that they're feeling compassionate, it's they're hearing a story from someone else and they feel for them. Well, what does that mean? You can relate to it or you can understand what a difficult time it is. You have feelings of um, support, of love, of care, for this person and what they're going through. Maybe you have feelings of hope or guidance. If it's something that I'm just not sure I can do this. Oh, yes, you can. I believe in you. Sort of a thing. So, uh, if you're not quite sure how to define what self compassion is, um, ask yourself, do I have support for myself? Do I have trust? Do I have belief? Do I have a certain give of understanding, or do I hold really rigid lines for myself of judgment? Oh, well, you didn't get it done. Well, you didn't do it perfect. Well, they didn't say enough good things about it. Where do you hold that line for yourself? And is it different? Does it look different in how you hold it for yourself versus other people? And I'm willing to bet that for most people it is different. It's very common to be more compassionate towards other people than it is for yourself because you are so vividly aware of all of your flaws. And we tend to say that because we're flawed, we don't deserve to have that compassion. So that's the angle I'm going to take this to tap on, is the difference in how you feel about yourself versus others. So if that rings true for you, then you can think of something specific. It can be specific as far as an emotion, or a category like, oh, yeah, no, I accept other people way more than I accept myself, or I love other people, or I forgive other people. It could be an instance, where, oh, yeah, at work, no, I don't have any, or at home, yeah, no, I everything for my family, none for myself, sort of a thing. So think of something that's a live wire for you, where you give more for others than you do for yourself. And let's start there. Even though I offer more compassion to others than I do for myself. I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I hold so much more space for other people than I do for myself, I deeply and completely accept myself anyway. Even though I am fantastic at showing up for other people, and I am terrible at showing up for myself, I deeply and completely accept myself. I don't accept myself. That's the point. It's easy to accept other people. It's so hard to accept myself. I wonder why it's so hard to accept myself. Well, I know all of my flaws. I know all of my choices. I know all of my thoughts. I know all of my efforts and my non efforts. So I wonder then, if I knew all of that about other people, would I then have less compassion for them? Well, when I learn more about the people that I care for, typically I feel closer to them. I don't know that that's it. I don't know that the issue is knowledge of flaws. So if my lack of self-compassion doesn't have to do with my own flaws, what does it have to do with? I wonder. I wonder when I was taught to not have self-compassion. Not allowed self-compassion. Not allowed what I needed. Not allowed to express my needs. I wonder if there are ways in my childhood where I received this message, where I received the message that self-compassion wasn't okay. And if compassion has to do with feeling, when in my childhood was I told it was not okay to feel? Was I ever told to be a big girl or to be a big boy when it was a time when I needed someone? Was I ever told to stop acting like a baby or to stop acting like a wimp? Or another word, when what I needed was compassion? I needed compassion. Not receiving compassion. Receiving pain instead of compassion. I wonder when I learned that self-compassion wasn't safe. I wonder when I learned that self-compassion made me a target. When did I express my feelings and I was immediately told by some type of feedback that that wasn't okay? When adults told me to stop crying, that I was fine, to blow it off. When peers maybe laughed at me, or maybe I was bullied. Or maybe I cried easily and I felt embarrassed. And no one was being particularly unkind, but no one else was crying. And I felt wrong for having my emotions. And rather than having compassion for myself, I cut it off. Close that door. Because it was wrong and it wasn't safe. Even though I had a lot of circumstances in my life that could easily explain my lack of self-compassion, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though this could easily now turn into an overwhelming subject for me as I see truths about my lack of self-compassion. I accept where I am and how I got here. And I choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Even with this lack of self-compassion, I'm still a really great person. Even if I never made a single inch of movement towards being better at self-compassion, I still did a pretty good job. But I don't want to stop here. So I wonder, how do I start? How do I start to rewrite my self-compassion? Well, first of all, I don't have to explain it to anybody. I can just do it. Because it is my life and it is my choice. And I give myself permission. I give myself permission to start having self-compassion. Okay. Permission granted. Now what? What does self-compassion look like? Maybe it starts with a lot of permissions. Anytime I feel an emotion that I start to cut off, I tell myself it's allowed. Even if it's at a time where I don't necessarily want to express it right then, I can tell myself, hey, we're going to do this when it's a safe place to do it, but we're totally going to let this out. I could also go back to those events that I can think of that I wished I had had support. Give myself support from then. I can do that. I bet I can think of a lot of different ways to give myself self-compassion. But what if this makes me conceited? What if this makes me too self-centralized and too self-important? I don't want to turn into one of those people that make everything about them. Hold on. I'm not changing my personality. I'm healing an aspect of it. And healing isn't going to make me a bad person. Healing is going to give me more freedom to be more happy, more joyful, and to connect more deeply with myself and others. And that sounds amazing. And it's okay if I have fears about it as I go along. I can look at those and address them and release them. And I may be really good at this. And I may be really bad at this at first. Oh, it could be really clunky and confusing and a bit of a disaster. And that's okay because I'm being brave at starting something new and from a place that's already pretty wounded. So it's okay if it's clunky at first. It's worth doing. And I give myself permission to find my path on this in whatever way it looks like. And as I teach myself how to regain my self compassion, I deeply and completely accept myself. Nice, good one. Back over in the chat. Good, good, good. Okay, well, I'm thinking let's go ahead and close. Fabricating increases. I get so upset. Okay, hold on. Upset and frustrated. The parts that want to shut down, I have things to do and want to do. Okay. Let's tap on this. So Carrie said, I get so mad at the parts that shut down when I have things things to do and want to do. And Pamela says, similar to Carrie, my fibro pain increases and I get so upset and frustrated. Let's tap on that. So things that are out of your control, that feel like they should be in your control, Also, likely maybe some fear of judgment, from others, because it's something that, especially if it's internal in your own body, and hard to quantify. If you have some sort of horrible rash or a high fever, or, some sort of illness with a bunch of symptoms, you're sneezing and coughing, and, there's a lot of understanding that comes with that because the other person can readily see what's there. But if your body looks normal, there are a lot of judgments and a lot of blame, and even just fear of judgments and blame, from people who just don't understand, who have never felt pain, even though you look fine, who have felt exhausted, even though you look fine. And, but you were 3 days ago, you were bouncing off the walls and now you can't get out of bed. What does that mean? It's, those are hard to quantify, um, symptoms and reactions within your body. It's something I have personal experience in, um, myself. So, yeah, there are a lot of buildup of things that can come from that. So, if you don't have a chronic health issue that you can relate to on this, then maybe you can relate from a sense of something that's considered more than average that you wanted to do, or still want to do, but you haven't completed yet, like something gymnastics, acrobatics, just something health wise of reaching a certain weight or a certain muscle mass, or even just a certain, shape or profile that you wish you had. Um, Maybe even something like wishing you were taller, something that genetically just is very unlikely to ever change for you. All of that. If you feel an anger against, well, my life would be so different if this would just that. That's around what we're going to tap on, for these last few minutes. So get that in mind. Even though I feel so strongly when I want to do things and I can't, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I get so full of emotion when I'm blocked from doing what I want and need to get done because of my own body, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I am certain I will leave this life with 80% of things that I wanted and needed to get done left behind, I deeply and completely accept myself. All right, we're going to go on a rant. Okay, you're going to see what I do when I feel mad. I don't. I don't accept this. I don't accept any of this. This is stupid. This is horrible. This is unfair. And I'm angry and I'm furious and I'm hurt and I feel betrayed and I don't understand why me. Why is this my experience? There are so many people who have healthy bodies and all they do is lay around. All they do is dissociate and they just poison their bodies. Yet their bodies function just fine. Not mine. I can't find enough protocols or pills or vitamins or any other kind of treatment to make my body do the bare minimum. Why? 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 All I want is to be able to take care of myself. All I want is to be able to be independent and dependable. I really would just like to wake up and smile because I know I'm going to be able to do what I need to. And I don't know. that will ever be me. And that kills me. That is so insulting to me because this pain is not my spirit. This being stuck is not my soul. It's not my mind. It's not who I am. But I am trapped and I have no choice. And people don't get it. They don't understand. I'm alone in this. And I don't know if it will ever be different. And I hate the thought of this being my entire life. So what can I do? What do I do about this? I would really, really like to have a solution. And I am so scared to trust any next solution because it hurts so bad when it's not true. So what do I do? My body. My soul. Trapped. Despair. Confusion. What do I do? Even though I don't know what to do, I deeply and completely accept myself. And when I say I accept myself, talking about my soul, my spirit, my mind, because even though I have these huge struggles, I am still trying so hard. I have such a big give, and I'm starting at a really big deficit sometimes. Even then, man, I've got a lot of heart, a lot of drive, and a lot of determination. And those are muscles I know how to flex. So I can appreciate those parts about me. And I can deeply and completely accept that. And while I want, we'll go like 3 more minutes, guys. While I want a solution to just erase this, to just be through with it, maybe I can be open to something that will help a little bit. Okay? What will help a little bit? I wonder if there's any other way that I can look at this than the way I am currently. And I don't mean on looking at my ailments as a gift. If I feel that, I feel that. And great. But if I don't feel that, you know what? That's also fine. It really, really is because my emotions are valid. But what other way could I look at things then? What is that? Well, I have to push myself to do things if I want to get them done when I'm struggling against my body. That's how I've gotten things done. I wonder if there's any value in looking at that a different way. I wonder if I did an experiment, if I could see a difference. Just a small try. What would that look like? Well, maybe when I'm having a bad day, and I know from the moment I wake up, it's a bad day. Instead of immediately being filled with anger and force and making myself do things, maybe I give myself 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes and I do a tap. Maybe I just watch someone else tap, or I listen to my favorite meditation, or I look up funny dog videos, or I listen to some really beautiful music and just allow myself to daydream. Well, all of that sounds pointless. How is that going to help? I'm going to have to push myself through and then I'll just be 10 minutes later. But maybe I'll give it a try. Because maybe it'll shift my brain chemistry and it'll shift me out of stress mode. And I know that stress mode increases inflammation. So maybe I'll give it a try. I've tried everything that's supposed to make sense. So maybe I'll try things that don't make any sense at all. Open to trying. Open to unexpected results. And maybe I'll even have fun in the journey. Maybe I'll find things to try that were just fun to experience. Help through fun. Help through peace and gentleness and kindness. As I allow myself just this little try when I'm having this really hard time, I choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Thank you for that. Thank you guys for staying a little bit later. If this has brought up a lot of things for you, write them down, write them down and tap on them, write them down and email me. Aside from this weekly tapping, I also do videos that I post every Friday. A lot of times those are more instructional than they are like a guided tapping here. But I'm here for you. Like I said, there's a lot of experiences I've had in my life that I have an understanding of and I'm on the other side of. And my God, my goodness. So much of it was releasing of how I reached a place of health. It was a place of releasing something that I was holding on to. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's what I found to be true in my own life. So I'm here for you in your journey and that in whatever way I can be. So reach out to your community. You've got wonderful people here with you every week.